Dr. Thomas I. Cook, my teacher and mentor, former chairman of the department at Johns Hopkins and speechwriter for President Eisenhower, taught me that a conservative is one who conserves the best of the past. It's a broad definition. I think it's true. Political conservatism today has a slightly different meaning for us. A conservative today shares, I think, the Reagan Republican values of limited government, lower taxes, and a real belief in democracy. A judicial conservative is someone who will follow the law as written, especially at the trial bench. Trial judges can't be making law. They have to know the law, they have to follow the law, and they have to apply it fairly, which is, I think, very important to keeping the judges in their proper role. That's why in our state constitution in Article 2, judges are prohibited from usurping power from other departments.
What is your position on the doctrine of jury nullification?
I am a strong believer in the importance of the jury system. Jury nullification is the term that refers to the process which occurs sometimes when jurors reach results that may not be specifically mandated by law. Now let me be clear, judges have to follow the law. When a judge gives a charge with legal instructions to the jury, the judge has to get it right. But I realize that on occasion, jurors take things into their own hands. This can be corrected by the appellate courts. But if you're asking about whether or not the occasional act of jury nullification means we should do away with the jury system, I agree with the founders of our republic and the people that wrote our state constitution. Juries are important.
I am, and I believe Melody would also agree with me that the doctrine of jury nullification is an anathema to the jury system. The jury is empowered to find facts, and the judge is the one who makes the decision on the law. The legislature has passed the laws. They have deemed them to be the will of the people, and it is not up to 12 jurors in and of themselves or on their own to decide that one particular law or another particular statute should be struck down.
I guess I'm probably the only person here that's actually had to deal with jury nullification in a civil case, and I was very proud of it. I convinced 11 jurors over the presiding juror in a case of something that the judge then reversed because there was no evidence of it. And I'm very proud of that, and if you're a law student, you can understand that to convince 11 people over the presiding juror that something is true when there's no evidence of it is quite an accomplishment. In terms of criminal law, I think is probably most likely where jury nullification comes up, because in the civil side, we have in Texas a special issue system that only allows the jury to answer yes or no, essentially. So they can do dollar amounts, but the yes or no is, was Bill Smith an employee of ABC Wrecking Company? And so I don't really see where they could nullify the law in the context of a civil court. The facts that they would have would just be to say, yes, he was an employee, or no, he wasn't. And then if the judge found, as has unfortunately happened to me, that there was no evidence that the person was an employee, then the court is entitled to set that aside and say, no, there simply was no evidence that supported that. In terms of a criminal case, I think the context of jury nullification is much more important because you have essentially 12 people finding, based on particular facts, how perhaps there may be an excuse for something. And so I guess in the context which would never come before my court, a civil court, I don't have a problem with jury nullification.
Jury nullification is ordinarily a matter of criminal law, although it does appear in a civil context. And specifically, trial courts are empowered to deal with it in what is called a motion for judgment notwithstanding the verdict of the jury, and also in motions for new trial. Even though the jury is incredibly important, and I will be very deferential to juries can get things wrong. Jury nullification is essentially one small democracy nullifying the laws of the greater democracy and community. And as a trial judge, you're sitting there and you're listening to the same exact evidence that the jurors did. And if everybody up there swears up, and if every witness swears up and down that this party over here ran the red light, and the jury sits over there and says, no, he or she did not, and you're the judge, then you have an obligation to make a determination that in fact there is no dispute concerning the evidence, and that the jury has in fact found either on the basis of no evidence, against conclusive evidence, or against the great weight and preponderance of the evidence. And that is a trial court responsibility. It's not simply an appellate responsibility, appellate court responsibility, although that's where you ordinarily see it more often. It is a trial court responsibility, and I will take that responsibility very seriously.
My name is Jerry Crowder, and I'm currently the constable of Precinct 1. Our jobs are specified, our duties are specified by the Constitution and by the laws. We serve civil process. We take care of the justice courts, the district courts, and the county courts. We do what the lawyers, the judges, and the people want us to do in Precinct 1. It's very important for lawyers to get their papers served expeditiously and served right and returned to court. And you'll all see this as you go higher in your professions. We service North Richland Hills, Watauga, a little bit of Hearst, Fort Worth, the north end of Fort Worth, and then the Oakhurst area. It's one of the issues that's been brought up are marked cars, uniforms. Our cars are marked because they are white, four-door Crown Victorias with a spotlight. You know, I mean, you don't need a sign on the side of one of them saying it's a police car when they see that. Our uniforms, we don't wear uniforms. The deputies in my office wear a shirt, a little embroidered badge here on the front, and then they wear slacks. We do this because we feel like it's less of an embarrassment to you as a citizen to have a car, marked car, and a uniformed officer knocking on your door just to serve a subpoena. Now, if we have to have uniforms, we can get to the uniforms, but at this time, we haven't had to have them. I'd appreciate your consideration. I have some material on the table over here. It has my qualifications on it. Thank you very much.
And Andy Bryant.
Thank you. I'm Andy Bryant. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight and speak with you. My website's bryantforconstable.com. I do have some material here as well. My phone number and email address are both listed there. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. I am one of the candidates that believes in having marked vehicles and uniforms. I believe that there are currently 8 constables in Tarrant County, 6 of which do have the uniforms and marked units, and they're very successful in the civil process as well as enforcing the law. The constables are called to do both legally, and I believe that protecting and serving is our responsibility. I believe that one of the best ways we can enforce the law is by communication with other agencies. Communicate with the probation officers to find out where the criminals on probation are living in our community. Communicate with the school liaison officers, the code compliance, everyone else, so we're aware of what's going on in our community. We do need to keep the civil process our primary focus. We are the only agency that is really called to do that, and that is our primary role. We cannot let that slip. But 6 of the other 8 constables have successfully found ways to do both, and I feel that Precinct 1 deserves the same. One of the programs I've really pushed is what we call Operation Innocence, which is probation officers and constables just communicating, not trying to take anything away from one agency or the other, but just being aware of where the sex offenders live. If you drive by a house and you see an older gentleman and a puppy and a little girl in the front yard, you might think that that's a Norman Rockwell picture of grandfather and granddaughter, but if you're aware that that's a sex offender, you know that's about to be a crime in progress with a violation of a little child. Now, I'm not looking to take anything away from the city police or anyone else, just good communication is good police work. Thank you.
The Deputy Constable here in Precinct 2.